Hello, I'm here with Father Spyridon, who's going to talk about his new book, Orthodoxy and the Kingdom of Satan. Father, what led you to write this book?
I've been reading a book called Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future by Seraphim Rose, an American monk, and a number of the issues, the themes that he was discussing sounded very interesting, but I realised that many of those themes about occultism in our world and the way the New Age movement has affected our culture and society have gone, even now, far beyond anything that he was describing. And I thought it'd be interesting to pursue those themes and perhaps examine exactly where we are today. But as I began to research those themes, I recognised that things have gone so much more developed. They've advanced so quickly, beyond anything Father Seraphim Rose could have imagined. And I realised it isn't simply a New Age movement, it isn't ideas, it isn't attracting people to occult practices, but it is actually in institutions, major organisations, worldwide international organisations, which are now pushing this agenda, this occult agenda, and are actually promoting a very specific worldview.
And you describe how these systems are linked and their goal.
In my research, I discovered, to my surprise, banking systems, the United Nations, the EU, a number of major international organisations and systems that were working towards a single goal, the same aim, and that there were very clearly links between them, and links between groups such as the Freemasons. And the conclusion that I couldn't avoid was that they were working towards a single world government. Now, when we start talking about one world government, warning bells certainly go off in certain people's heads. But my conclusion was that this is a very deliberate misrepresentation. People have been led to form these connections in their minds so that when they hear certain phrases, they reject them immediately. It's almost like a camouflage for what's happening. And the single system, the single agenda is clearly working towards the reign of Antichrist.
You describe how our perception of the world is being controlled. Can you say something about that?
That's right. The first part of the book sets out exactly how these different organisations are working towards this goal, but the second part of the book looks at the way our perception is influenced, the way we're being manipulated. So I look at education, I look at the media, particularly television and Hollywood, but also the arts and music, and the different strands that the human mind is being manipulated through and by, so that people are actually living within a single system of thought that is artificial and isn't theirs. Everything that they're hearing, from magazines to the radio to the television, from movies, are all giving the same message, the same worldview. And it becomes very difficult for people to actually think outside of that bubble. It is a single worldview. And when somebody comes along and starts questioning it, it immediately seems strange or even insane. And yet, people are being manipulated. The whole system, the whole structure is guiding people into a state of receptiveness, a willingness to go along with this great agenda.
In the last part of the book, you talk about warnings from Orthodox Saints. Why should we know about this?
Well, it's important because these conclusions aren't just my own. As I researched this, I discovered that many of the great saints, even saints not just in our recent times, but before the Russian Revolution, were describing these things. They were prophesying what was about to take place. We see particularly in the writings of people like St. Paisius, clearly set out these events that we now see happening around us. And it's important, as you ask, it's important for us to know about these things, because we cannot sleepwalk into the future. We cannot sleepwalk into a new world order, as they like to call it. We cannot sleepwalk into slavery, a financial slavery initially. We are being led down a certain road, and as Christians, we have been given warnings. God has spoken to us through our saints, through the book of Revelation, through the warnings from Christ. We must take to heart these important warnings. We must stand back. We must not allow ourselves to become enslaved and become servants of Antichrist.
Thank you, Father, and thank you for writing the book.